Faces of CRPS is a docu-series presenting real people with CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome, also known as RSD, reflexive sympathetic dystrophy, and causalgia. These conversations are graphic and largely unedited, their purpose being to allow a glimpse into life with CRPS, the most painful condition on the McGill Pain Scale. Each interview is unique and showcases one or two experiences in hopes that lawmakers, physicians, health educators, families, and friends will understand it and see the effect that medical gaslighting and the laws surrounding opioids are having on pain patients. We hope our stories inspire and educate you about this horrid disease. Trigger warning: graphic pictures and language, talk of self-harm, and explicit descriptions.
I was a kid, probably 6th grade. I went to Boy Scout camp and I broke my right arm. Time I was a freshman in high school, it started turning, doing the color change and stuff, and the doctors didn't know what it was. They never diagnosed me then with CRPS. Did lots of physical therapy with it, and it kind of calmed down. And my doctors now think that it just went in remission when I was a kid. And then back in 2014, my left hip was really bothering me. I drove truck for 16 years. So it was really bothering me, and I went and seen a pain management doctor. They sent me into an orthopedic guy. He was an older gentleman. He goes, "I know what you got." He goes, "You got bursitis," and he just jabbed me with the needle. And by that evening, my whole left leg was on fire. My foot started turning purple. He wouldn't see me again. Of course, he had a student with him at the time when he did it. And he goes, "This is just quick and easy." And CRPS, he goes, "I know exactly what you have." He goes, "You have all the classic signs of it." And he goes, "You have CRPS." He then referred me to a neurologist, and things are pretty sparse down there. The biggest city was Oklahoma City that I lived near, and it was a 2-hour car ride from where I was living. So I went there. They started me out on gabapentin. We started out with a fairly low dose. I never actually got to see the doctor. She was always too busy to do anything with me or talk to me or even see me herself. So everything was done over the phone. And each week they would call to see if it was doing anything, helping any. And it wasn't. So they maxed me out on gabapentin, and it didn't help. Then tried Lyrica and all the other drugs that we normally prescribe to us, thinking they're going to help. They either didn't help or they made my stomach upset, and I had a lot of brain fog. But I decided to move back. I'm originally from Iowa, so I decided to move back up here because of the University of Iowa is a teaching hospital, and I thought, well, maybe I could get some help through them. By the time I got here, it had already been over a year without anything helping and nothing working. We did a few lumbar punctures with nothing help. That didn't even help. So and then they wanted to do an SCS trial, but I didn't do that because the doctor that was in charge of it was bragging about all the trips that he was able to go on and stuff, and kind of hinted towards he was getting a kickback from the SCS company. So So that kind of put me off and put me in a really bad, I guess, way that I didn't want to associate myself with something like that. Somebody getting personal gain when they're supposed to be getting, they get paid enough from the drug companies as it is, and doing that. Um, so yeah, I can't walk anymore because of this. It's in all the way up my left side from my foot where it started down to my foot and it moved up my leg and into my hip. And so that was back in 2014 that this all started. And now here I am.
Well, let's start over and kind of do a timeline. So,
Okay.
when you was a kid in Boy Scouts, you got injured, right?
Yes.
And that precipitated the CRPS originally, you think?
That's what the doctors and I think now that we've gone back over the records.
So how old are you?
I am 48.
Okay.
So,
So tell me about that first injury and what it felt like.
um, well, after my arm had healed from being broke, um, it would get real cold. Um, I would lose feeling in it. I couldn't feel anything, and it hurt. I mean, it just like somebody poking you with a needle all the time, and it never really had. I never really got the hot sensation like I do, like I have now in it, but it was always cold, and it would turn blue and purple, and they thought
The,
it was a,
the
huh?
modeling color, the modeling
Yeah,
color.
yeah, and they wanted they did all kinds of tests. They did the EEG and all that, and they made sure the blood circulation was good and all that. And all I did was, that to tell you now, even physical therapy is the best thing you could do for it. So,
So how old was you then? And you said that you felt like it went into remission. So go back to the timeline and how old
okay,
was you?
I would have been 13, 14 years old because it was probably the end of it was somewhere around there. I think is when I broke my arm. I can't remember. That's been a long time,
Yeah.
but I mean, it was when I was yet way younger than what I am now. Um, I think it had to be either between sixth grade and eighth grade, somewhere in between there. So I would have been anywhere between 12 and 14 between then and there. Um,
So as a kid, did they give you any kind of pain medications?
um, I think they put me on gabapentin for a while, um, but a lot of physical therapy. Um, that's what I can remember anyway. And it eventually just let up and it kind of disappeared. I still had the coldness in my right arm here and there periodically, but it never did the modeling and changed colors or anything. So that's why we thought maybe it had gone into remission after that, looking
So,
back over the records.
so how long from the time you injured your arm until you had remission?
Um, I think it was probably by the time I was a sophomore in high school, it finally calmed down and I was able to do more things with um, because I remember wearing the TENS unit to into my um, health class, and we happened to be talking about them in class, and then the teacher used me as an example with the TENS unit, so they could show what it does and what it can do.
Uh-huh.
So I remember that.
And what was the cause of the injury?
I broke my arm at the growth plate.
Was you
Um,
what was you doing to break it?
um, Another kid and I were taking turns beating each other up in the bicep. Just giving each other a punch everyone. Just messing around, and it ended up breaking my arm.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't nothing. I mean, exciting. It was just something stupid, kids do, and so
Yeah, there's a little boy in Australia who's going to be in one of the episodes, and all he did was he was playing tag and he skinned his knees and he got CRPS in both of his
geez,
lower limbs.
I just
But it's it's crazy, huh? So
yeah, it is.
so tell me the progression of where it spread.
Um, it started in my foot after I got that shot for bursitis in my hip. Um, my foot and my calf, and now it's like I said, started back up in 2014, and now it's all the way up my hip and in my lower back. I'm starting to get it in my left arm and my left shoulder. Um, my index finger on my left hand has started turning colors, and it's the only finger that does it. We don't understand what's causing it or anything, but we've narrowed it down to being CRPS. Um,
So
but
it's
it'll
so if it was 2014, it's been 10 years you've been dealing with it since you got the shot, right?
Yep.
Oh, you're a brave man.
So I was lucky when I first moved up here to get a pretty good doctor, um, for a primary doctor, and he uh, he helped as much as he could. He even went back to school to try to learn more about CRPS and try and teach some of the newer doctors about CRPS. And so I'm thankful for that, because I mean, to have somebody that wanted to teach about it and make an awareness at a big hospital, that kind of meant something to me. It showed he really cared. Unfortunately, he left, but but it was nice to have a doctor that was helpful and wanted to gain knowledge about it, not just from what I told him, but from what his own experience and stuff. So
So what is your understandings of the different ways you can achieve remission?
um, I knew that if sometimes it just goes away on its own. Um, I know a lot of physical therapy sometimes helps. Um, Other than that, I'm not for sure. I know in women, sometimes I've heard um, a few women say, I got pregnant and I went into remission while I was pregnant, and then it came back after they had their child,
Uh-huh.
which I thought was weird. But this nothing about this disease is um, what I want to say. Nothing's easy about it. That's why they call it complex, I guess. I mean, that's
Yeah. Have you heard of scrambler therapy?
yeah. I've heard of scramble therapy. They don't do that anything up here where I'm at.
And where do you live?
I live in Iowa, around Iowa City. So um, it's just like ketamine. They don't even do ketamine treatments here anymore. because I was going to try that, but the place that I was going to try ended up going out of business. So I'm kind of glad I didn't. And the hospital doesn't do it anymore for some reason.
So if you was to drive 2 or 3 hours, would you be able to get to a bigger city that could do those kind of things?
It'd either be Chicago or Des Moines. Probably most likely be Chicago, because that's about 2.5, 3 hours from here. I'm getting to where I can't even hardly ride in the car that long anymore.
Yeah, I only get in the car to go to medical appointments. Have you so you've never had a ketamine infusion yet?
I've had ketamine when I had surgery a couple times, but that's as far as it's gone.
Okay.
I had to have surgery in my right wrist 2 or 3 years ago. I was thinking that maybe it was CRPS that was bothering me. We did an MRI, and I talked to a orthopedic surgeon, and come to find out one of my tendons from my fingers, um, the the cavity that they sit in had worn down to where there was nothing there, and it was popping out, and that was what was causing the pain and the stuff in my right hand at this point in time. So she went in and debriefed it and made a new canal for the tendon to sit in and ride in. So, and they gave me ketamine for that. So, and that helped a lot. And they also did a nerve block at the same time as the ketamine.
How did the nerve block? I've heard mostly bad luck with those.
It helped. I mean, it wasn't a sore afterwards, but I also had started moving a lot because I knew what being in a cast and stuff, mobilized my wrist would do to me if I didn't keep moving at least my fingers and stuff. And I moved my fingers a lot while I was in the cast and in the splint, and so, but the nerve block seemed to help a lot on that one. I mean, that it wasn't as bad as what it could have been, but I think the ketamine helped the most.
Yeah.
Because I had a hiatal hernia, and I was getting to where I couldn't hardly swallow my pills and stuff, and I had to have that fixed twice. But the second time's gone a lot better, and it's lasted a lot longer than what the first one did. But
Via surgery or dilation?
um, they went in, they made orthoscopically, they went in and made some points on my stomach and was able to get in there and fix it. But he told me if I had to have it done again, I'd have to go to a thoracic surgeon and mess with that. And I was like, yeah, I hope that doesn't happen, because I don't want to have to be opened up. He said my diaphragm, that was the second time I had to have it done, is because my diaphragm was, the hole in my diaphragm was larger than what it should be.
So this you got remission of a sort, not total, but when you was a teenager.
Yeah.
And then about 10 years ago it came back. Did you have any gaslighting and people not believing you or anything like that?
No, at the time I was seeing one pain management doctor that was pretty well known around Oklahoma. He had come over from Vietnam and and stuff, and he was well known around the area. I can't remember what his name was, but he was a top pain management guy, and he was top in his field. So everybody that he sent me to or knew I was seeing him never even gave it a second glance at it. But it took me forever to be able to see him or to see anybody else to even get the treatments that I needed, because it was so they were so busy and didn't have time to be able to schedule an appointment to see me. And I think that contributed to some of it too, that I wasn't able to get the treatment right away and I wasn't able to do what I needed to have done. So
I've been told that the first 6 months to a year and a half, 2 years is the sweet spot for getting remission.
yeah. And down in Oklahoma, I didn't have the physical therapy right away when I was diagnosed. That was never even brought up as an option for me down there. When I got moved back up here and was able to get into the university, I did some physical therapy, and it didn't seem like it was going anywhere or doing anything. So I've kept it out of my left arm as much as I can by moving and continuing to move it. I was able to get some exercises and see a physical therapist on that, and that's helped a lot. I keep so
I'm sorry
I
you
think that's
broke up.
what's kept it.
I'm sorry you broke up. Can you repeat that, please?
I said I was lucky to see a physical therapist when I started noticing my left hand, so I was able to keep it at bay, I think, by keep continuing to do exercises and doing stuff to keep the mobility in it. And it still goes cold. I still have some of those symptoms, but they're not near as bad as what my lower limb is. So
So
because
I've been in a wheelchair for about 5 years. Are you wheelchair bound, or how do you get around?
I use a wheelchair. Um, I have this is my I have this is my I'm on my second one. The first one, I was having issues. I had it for 5 years. Didn't use it a whole lot at first because I was still using crutches to get around. And then after my wrist surgery, I had to have to use my wheelchair anyway. So, and it was harder for me when I was able to get back on crutches to do it. The pressure was more on my wrist than what I could stand. So I finally decided to go to the wheelchair.
So do you have an electric one now, or?
Yeah, I have an electric one.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it really is. We tried the manual, but my arms just got so tired from trying to go anywhere. And they said that they didn't want to take a chance of causing more injury to me than what I already had. So we went with the electric.
Yeah. Was you able, you was a truck driver, you said, for 16 years?
Yep.
So is that how you was able to have insurance?
Yeah, I was working for at the time I was working for an oil service company. We'd make new pads for new oil wells, and we'd haul in gravel and stuff to make the pad that it was going to sit on. So I had pretty good insurance through them. And then shortly after I came down with the RSD came back, the company ended up going belly up. So I lost my insurance either way. So care was a little bit hard to come by with no insurance. I had tried to file for state insurance down in Oklahoma and couldn't get on for one reason or another. So, and then I started my case with disability because I was advised by one of the doctors that I did get to see that you might as well, at this point, he goes, you might as well file for disability. He goes, told me that I wasn't probably ever going to get remission out of it because too much time had gone by. So, and that's hard trying to fight disability.
Yeah. People that don't have CRPS don't understand the pain. Can you describe the pain that you have, where you have it, what it feels like?
I get a lot of burning sensation up and down my leg. I can feel the muscles sometimes fire, and it's like pins and needles, or somebody sticking you with a hot knife. I don't know how else to describe what it is. That's about basically what it feels like to me. Is that it's just lots and lots of somebody poking you a lot over and over with a needle or stabbing you with a knife sometimes. And the swelling, it feels like sometimes your foot's going to explode because it feels so swollen.
Do you know the term allodynia?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Allodynia is like even when the wind blows, it's sensitivity to skin, like
Yeah,
certain textures and wind and
yeah. I've gotten to where I can't even wear a sock anymore on my left foot because of it feels like it's constricting. It just makes the pain worse. So,
yeah. So
and
how
I
is it?
can't move my toe.
Can't move your toes
Yeah, I can't move my toes anymore. They're locked.
on both feet?
No, just my left foot.
Oh,
That's the side of the CRPS. So, and that happened within the first year.
did they try to do mirror therapy when you only had it on the one side?
Yep, I've tried mirror therapy. I did that for my leg and for my hand. Um, the hand, I still do quite some stuff with it. Not quite mirror therapy, but I've got some other exercises for my hand that I do too. So, um, we had one lady at the hospital that had been there for years that was a physical therapist, and she was the go-to CRPS therapist. Unfortunately, she retired and nobody has taken her place. So I've been I talk to some of the therapists here and there and see if they're going to end up trying to get somebody else to come in but they're hard to find and hard to keep. The hospital tells me that physical therapists are just hard to keep. So
So as far as pain management, do you have opiates or
I have opiates.
pot or
Um,
what do you do?
I have opiates. I have hydromorphone that I take um, when I can't stand the pain anymore. If I get to the point where I'm at a 10 and I can't, before I go into, I try not to go to the hospital if I don't have to. Um, I take that as a breakthrough medicine. Um, and then I have Valium to help me sleep because I don't sleep very good because I'm in constant pain and I can't get comfortable.
Yeah.
I can't put my foot under the cover. I leave it out. Probably from my knee down. I'm lucky. I feel that I'm lucky that I can still wear pants and not bother from my knee above. So,
So, you have benzos and opiates. Have you tried THC?
I have a little bit. I've dabbled with, I guess it's CBD. I have tried my state has not quite legalized marijuana yet. I did get my medical grade marijuana card. I tried
So,
some of it.
so it's legal medically there in Iowa?
Yeah, it's legal medically, but it's not legal, not recreational yet. I tried the medical grade stuff, and all it did was give me a really bad headache. I kind of decided that wasn't the road I wanted to go down. I've tried some CBD through Mood, and that has helped some. They had some that had a pretty high THC level in it, and that works pretty good. My wife works nights, so I don't try to not do too much on the nights that she has to work, because we also have kids that go to school, so I have to get up with them in the morning. Of course, now it's summertime, it's not such a big deal, but during the school year, I try not to take a whole lot to help me sleep when I have to get up with the kids to make sure they get off to school. Because if I take, even if I just take my Valium, I'll sleep till I go to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning, and won't get up till like 1 or 2 in the afternoon if I take it. So that's one thing that I found that has helped me sleep a lot, especially when I'm sleep deprived. So
Yeah, benzos is the only thing that really helps me.
yeah. I sleep in my recliner a lot instead of in bed. Sometimes I can get more comfortable in my recliner than I can laying down. So and
How has it affected your life?
um, it took my dream career and shot it down the toilet. I really enjoyed driving. I miss it a lot. Um, I miss working. I do. I miss being able to bring home an income in other than just, through disability. Um, I've lost just about all my friends I had. I still have one good friend that stops in. He drives over the road, and he stops in from time to time to see me. Um, I don't like going out a lot if I don't have to. I'm more of a homebody than what I ever used to be. Um,
Do you have a, a way to have mobility, like a wheelchair, electric wheelchair when you go places, or a van, or how do you, if you wanted to go
um,
to a restaurant, let's say, how would you be able to do that?
yeah, I have a lift that will pick my wheelchair up off the ground. I can get in the vehicle, then my family puts it on the lift that's on the back of the vehicle and is able to lift it up and strap it down and be able to take it with us. I've had that for 3 years, I think, is when I finally got one. Before that, I had bought a cheap little ramp deal to get my wheelchair up on that slid into the trailer hitch and was able to take it with us. And so that helps a lot. If I didn't have that, there's no way I'd have to go to someplace that already either had a wheelchair, or if I went to the grocery store, I'd have to have the electric wheelchair there, or use the wheelchair provided, and somebody would have to push me. So, and that to me, that's a big hassle. Kind of makes me feel like a burden when if I have to do that.
Yeah.
So I play video games, and that I've met some people through that, and made some friends through gaming. That's kind of helped, because if I'm having a bad day, I can get on there and play and get into with a group of people that I know and I can talk to, and it kind of gets my mind off the pain and gets me in a different light, I guess is what I'd call it, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you is what are your coping mechanisms?
that's my biggest one, is playing games, and watching YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube. Uh, Music sometimes. That that's pretty much it.
Has it affected your intimacy with your spouse or?
It has some, yeah. It's not quite taken over where we can't have intimacy, but it has. It's made it more difficult, and you try and find new things and new ways to do stuff to cope with what you need to cope with, and so then I've got 3 grandkids that we do a lot of FaceTime with, because I can't, haven't been able to get down there to see them quite as much as I wanted to. We went down last year. They live in Kansas, and we traveled down there to see them, but they're not really set up for me to be able to get in and around their house. They live on a 2-story house, 2-story condo, and it's kind of hard to get up and downstairs, go upstairs and do anything up there, or try and get outside, because they don't have the ramp or anything for me. So that makes
Are
it kind
you
of
able
difficult.
to kind of waddle around or use a walker at times?
No, I don't use a walker, and I don't use the crutches anymore. Since I've quit, my wrist was, even after surgery, I was getting some tightness and stuff in my wrist on my right side. So I decided, and I can't hardly push up off of that wrist anymore. It's kind of weak still since the surgery I had. So I can maneuver myself and stand up and go from my recliner to my chair, or my wheelchair, or go from the wheelchair to bed, or get up to go use the restroom. But other than that, I rely on my chair for everything.
How many kids do you have?
6.
Oh my gosh. I got 5. I
I,
thought I was a propagator. You got
well,
a crew there.
yeah, 4 of them aren't mine, but they're considered mine, because I've raised them from when they were helped raise them from when they were little. So
Yeah.
I have the oldest is 23, then 22, and then 20, 16, 15, and 11. And then the 3 grandkids are 5, 3, and a year old, almost a year old. So, and they've helped keep me going. the kids have to try and do stuff. And, I try to make it as to many events as I can that they're involved in. Um, if I feel up to it. I mean, there's days that I just can't do anything. It's just I'm down for the count, and I have the problem of overdoing it a lot when I feel great, and then I pay for it the next day.
Yeah.
And I do all the cooking for us, so I try to save most of my energy for the evening time when I cook. So
Well, that's good that you can do that.
my wheelchair is able to let me raises me up to at least counter level where I'm not trying to reach above anything to cook or anything, so I can actually see in the pot and see what's cooking and how it's cooking and all that. So that helps a lot. Um, and I've gotten the younger kids involved in cooking and showing them how to cook, and I'm able to pass something on. That means a lot to me because there are a lot of people that don't know how to cook. I mean,
Yeah.
I was lucky my grandma taught me, and to be able to pass that on is great.
So if you were to, knowing what you know now, when you got that shot for was it bursitis they thought it was?
Yeah, yeah, he thought it was bursitis.
Would have you have had him do that shot again?
No, I wouldn't.
You think that
Either that or
you think that's where it spread?
I think so. Because I mean, it wasn't even 10 hours later or 5 hours later before I started feeling the burning sensation. I hadn't even hardly made it home and it started burning like it was on fire.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't do it again. Either that or I would find somebody else to do it that wasn't such in a hurry. And
They call the CRPS or RSD, they call it the suicide disease. Have you had bad thoughts like that at times?
I have, but then I also think about my family, about what they would go through, and that's really what keeps me going. I think more than anything is my family. The kids, what would that do to the kids? And I don't want them to have to go through that. I've I've had a few people in some of the Facebook groups that have taken their own lives, and it's devastating. And I just can't imagine what their family's going through and all that. But then you think on the other hand, they're not suffering anymore. They're not in pain. But I think it'd be harder on my family if something like that, if I did take that action.
Because they're so young, you're still raising them, huh?
Yeah. So I mean,
What would you tell somebody that just recently got diagnosed with CRPS? What advice would you give them?
keep up with the physical therapy, do as much as you can. Um, if you can stay off the gabapentin, do it. I know so many people that have had lots and lots of problems with gabapentin and them kind of drugs. Um, I don't know that. Try and keep moving as much as you possibly can. That that's the other thing I think that pass on, because the more you move, the freer you are and you're able to do things. And if you can hold it at bay as long as you can, then do everything in your power you can do.
So do you have like a toolbox of things that steps that you do when you have a flare?
Um, Yeah, I try to. I said I mentioned my medicine that I take. I try to take it if I can. Try and catch it when it first starts, so it doesn't end up leading to something worse.
That's Dilaudid you're talking about, right?
The hydromorphone more than anything helps with that with pain. Um, yeah, and then try and find a distraction. I try to find something to distract myself with. Um, so distractions are key sometimes. A lot of times when if you can find something to distract yourself with and get your mind off the pain and get your mind off the flare, and it helps. Not always, but it helps. And you just keep trying to find something that works for everybody. I mean, everybody's different. It's not ever the same or as easy as.
Yeah, I totally agree. Distraction is about the only thing that, because I figure my brain is so wrapped up in the pain, but if I can focus on something else, it will diminish that part of it
Yep.
just a little bit, you know.
And any little bit helps.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? And then I just want to chat with you for a minute.
Um, I think more than anything else, something else advice I would give to people: advocate for yourself. Don't don't let the doctor take the reins. You take the reins and do what you want to do and how you want to treat this. Don't allow them to overtake you and say this is not what you're going to do, and you need to either find somebody that's going to help you in your journey and allow you to go down the path that you want to go down, or you know, find another doctor that's going to willing to help you and work with you and not just against you.
Have you had much atrophy?
I'm not for sure what that is.
Like shrinking of the muscles?
Yes, my left leg, my calf is probably 2 times smaller than my right one is, and so is my left thigh. It's the muscles have decreased in it quite a bit, but I'm still able to move my ankle on my foot. So I try to move my ankle and my knee as much as I possibly can to keep them loose and be able to, keep them moving a little bit without getting them stiff and where they aren't going to move anymore.
Do you, I don't have it, but a lot of people that I've spoken with, they talk about electrical shock type of pain shooting.
Sometimes I get it down my leg. It'll go from my hip down to my foot. Um, Not all the time, but every once in a while. And I get real bad cramps in my CRPS foot and leg. Um, it feels like the muscles are contracting, and that causes a lot of pain and discomfort.
That's called dystonia when it cramps like that.
Yeah. I've been getting a lot of that here lately, especially right when I try to lay down. For some reason, it seems to hit me when I'm ready to go to sleep, and it keeps me up for longer.
Night times is the worst, isn't it?
Yeah. And the weather changes, the barometric pressure. I can always tell when it's fixing to storm or it is storming. I get my pain level's a lot higher during them times.
Do you have a caretaker or somebody that helps you, or is it primarily your family, or do you have like CNAs that come to help you?
Mainly it's my wife, and she's actually a CNA at the hospital. So she works 3 nights a week at the hospital, and then she's home with me and helps me get to my doctor's appointments, and does most of the shopping and stuff, and running with the kids wherever they need to go, especially the two younger ones that can't drive yet. So
Well, James, it was good to hear your story. Now I just want to chat with you a little bit and tell you what I've learned.
okay.
There's a thing called scrambler therapy, which is similar to a TENS unit, but it's more sophisticated. What they do is they put a electrode above and below the affected area.
Yeah.
Like both of my knees are affected, and so that's why I can't walk anymore. Is they just swell up, and my calves atrophied, my legs atrophied. But I looked into it, and here in Utah, where I live, they charge $2,000 for. It seems like everything that can put you into remission is not covered by insurance.
Yep.
So I put myself in debt. I put myself in debt probably $80,000. But um I did the scrambler therapy because I was doing pretty good. It went from I had it from the waist down,
Yeah.
including my genitalia, which is just a whole different animal. I mean, there's two or three other guys that I've met, and there's women that have it in their genitalia, and it's
Yep.
just horrific. But I I was handling things pretty good, and I heard about spreading and stuff, and I was very fortunate originally because uh well, it took me 4 years to get diagnosed the first time when I got it in my right foot,
Yeah.
and they put a spinal cord stimulator in, and after about 6 years, I didn't need it anymore, and so I had remission. And so I thought I was a miracle boy because they told me it was a life sentence, and
Yeah.
nobody told me about remission or about it coming back. There was no education really on it at all. I heard about ketamine, but uh, I'm 60 years old, and was in my 40s, I think, late 30s, early 40s. And they said that if you wanted ketamine, you'd have to go to Mexico.
Yep.
And but I've this my spread the way mine worked was it went from my foot, and then I got remission, and then not knowing the pain, what it was in my ribs because I had a fractured T11, just a small fracture that took a long time to heal. But I thought I was dying because you know how CRPS pain is so intense.
Oh yeah.
And I thought I was having a heart attack or something, and nobody could find anything. And I'm like, come on, people. I'm a vet, and I was an EMT and a medic, and I I knew that it wasn't in my head, but they were starting to make me feel like it was, and
Been told that a lot too.
after after a while, uh, I finally went back to the pain management people, and they told me I had a fractured T11, and if I just did radio frequency ablation, that would fix me up. And it took about 4 years, and that put me in remission. And I was a free man again. So I'm really fortunate. I've had remission twice, but about 6 years ago, I got it in my knees, and I knew it was CRPS because
Yeah.
there's just no other pain that can describe it. And the fools out here, I live in a rural area, Vernal, Utah. It's a really small podunk town. And the doctors, I think that the problem with the name CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome, is they call it regional. And I've talked to many people that have full body CRPS,
Yep.
and that's I have it now that way. I have it from the neck down. I don't have the allodynia all the time from the neck down, but my hands are on fire all the time, and my knees and my feet, my groin and my chest. And what I found is I I'm lucky enough that I'm able to go into debt,
Yeah.
and I I decided I was gonna try the ketamine. And luckily, there was a new pain doctor in town, and he charged $280 per infusion for a 2 hour infusion of, well, he started out at 200 milligrams. Now he's up to about 450. But I do one of those a week, and that puts out the fire. But um, I have to admit, I when it first came back, I was in so much pain. I was on so much narcotics. I had a catheter, and I just stared at the wall all day, and my knees were on fire. I decided that I was going to take myself out, and but it's not totally my fault if there is such a fault thing, or I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't blame anybody for doing it, but I I had sepsis, and went to the ER, and the doctor there told my husband that I was faking, that I wasn't having any seizures. Um, and if it wasn't for a nurse that took my temperature and said I was 104 and septic, I probably would have died. But they admitted me, and anyways, it's been a real hard struggle, and I'm still vacillating between how long I'm going to put up with this, because all of my kids are grown and live in different cities, and I live far away from all of them. The closest, I got 3 kids about 3 hours away that I hardly see. But I I decided that it's quality of life over quantity. And
Yep.
I'm not putting in the throwing in the towel yet, but it's difficult at times. It's really difficult.
Yeah. I totally understand. I mean, like I said, there's been times that I didn't think I wanted to go on any longer, and you know, but I kept pushing, and I'm like you now. I'd want to have a quality of life, not a, over everything. And I've heard so many bad stories about the spinal cord stimulators, and horrific things and things that just happened out of the blue. I have a friend that has a DRG, and
What is that?
a lead. It's like the spinal cord stimulator, but it's
Oh,
some.
the ganglion root one?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And she had it put in, and it wasn't even a year later. One of the leads broke, and of course, this all happened during COVID when it broke, and she ended up having to ended up going back in so they could replace the lead. Well, they couldn't get the lead that they had put in out, and they ended up placing the new lead, and it's not helping her at all. Now it's not even in the same place that the other one was that was helping. So now she's down to where it's not even working for her anymore. And I've so many people I've talked to that have the spinal cord stimulator have had broken wires, and then they run into problems with that, and then you have to have the battery replaced every so often. And
Yeah, I was really fortunate those 6 years that I had mine replaced once during the 6 years just because it stopped working as well. So they put another one in on a different level.
yeah,
But I think that's why my hands are affected now is because I got I got desperate really bad because when it spread to my hands, do you have it in one of your hands or just your arm?
I have it in my left hand.
Oh, so you know exactly what I'm
So
talking about.
I did therapy, physical therapy with my hand.
Yeah. When it gets to your hand, it's a
Yeah,
whole different animal. And I jumped the gun and I went and had a trial done because I thought, well, I had a spinal cord stimulator before and it worked. So they did the one on my lower back for my legs and I have
yeah.
uh what's it called when everything's numb? What's that called?
Um, neuropathy.
Neuropathy. Yeah, neuropathy. I have neuropathy in my back, and so that didn't even phase me. But when they put the the test leads in my neck, I think that's what made it spread to my hands. It took like maybe 6 months later, but I was washing my hair one day and it felt like my hair felt like razor blades.
Yeah,
And then I knew that it was, well, I was pretty sure, and I asked the doctor to look at him. And he's like, "Yeah, you've got it there, dude."
yeah.
So, but what I was going to tell you is there is some hope. Um, I'm not doing it right now, but there's a company, LG Pain. Uh,
Hmm.
they make home uh, scrambler therapy devices.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that?
No, I hadn't.
Anyways, it's really tricky getting them from Korea because Koreans can only, it's not FDA approved. So getting a medical device in the United States that's not FDA approved is tricky, but mine slipped through the cracks and I got it. It was $2,200 And I did about, well, before I did it, the home one, I paid a doctor 3 hours away for 16, 17 sessions to do it with the real Calmar machine.
Yeah.
And when I found out that LG bought the patent for it, that it was the same algorithm,
Yeah.
what it basically does is it it and it was so weird because the only time I've ever had pain relief from my hands is when well, not very much, but because the last place I get CRPS is usually the hardest to put out the fire with ketamine,
Yeah.
but I when he put the leads, they put the leads on the back of my hand and on my wrist, kind of.
Yeah.
And within about 20 minutes, I was able to do this without hurting. And I was like, holy shit, this is
Yeah.
working. And I was fortunate enough because I heard about scrambler therapy long ago and I couldn't afford it and I didn't know where to get it. And um, the doctor that did it, he was a chiropractor,
Yeah.
and he uh he told me, he said he said tomorrow you're going to be in the worst pain you've ever been in your life after today. And I said,
Yeah.
what? He said it's because we're going to turn the volume all the way off and then it's going to come all the way back on and it's going to hurt like hell. And I'm so glad he told me that because that's exactly what happened. And because all these other women, most men are the rarity of CRPS.
Yeah.
They told me that if I did it, it would spread it, it would make it worse, and so I was really scared to even try it. But it it worked quite well, and it's still. I mean, I don't. I have these weird blue veins that grow through my hands, and
Yeah.
my hands are red, and they have. Do you know, like when you go swimming and your skin wrinkles up?
Yeah.
Does that what happens to your fingers?
Yeah. And my hand, it wrinkles up quite a bit. But
Yeah.
my hand is swollen 90% of the time. I can't even wear my wedding ring anymore because my ring finger swells up so bad. I tried to get one of them silicone rings that is supposed to um, be able to flex in case something like that happens. I had to cut it off because I couldn't get it off, and my hand was swelling so bad.
Can I see your hand?
It doesn't look that much now, but I like I said, I try and keep it moving a lot more. But it's cold 90% of the time anymore.
Uh,
Um, and then, like I said, I did a lot of physical therapy with a person from the hospital that just does hands, and he has some knowledge of CRPS, and I was thankful that I got into him instead of the other person that they have. And um, I go back every once in a while when I get to the point where something new is going on, or I feel that I need different exercises or something, and he'll give me some more exercises to do with it. And just trying to keep it moving as much as I can.
well,
That seems to help the most.
I wanted to tell you something that I didn't know about. Um, After I had my first ketamine infusion, the IV infusion,
Yeah.
I I would. It's like out of body experience, and it's like you feel normal. You totally ketamine is like my favorite drug of all time now.
Yeah.
anyways, I I it wore off, and I wrote in the group. I said, I wish it would have lasted longer than a day or so. And
Yep.
these women said, your doctor's a monster. He didn't give you any to take home. And I said, take home? You can have
Yeah.
ketamine at home? And so I asked him about it, and they were now I take ketamine troches. They're that you put under your tongue.
Yeah. Yep.
Have you heard or tried those?
I haven't tried them, but I've heard of them. Um, there's also a nasal spray form of
Yeah.
ketamine, and I know somebody that uses that, and that helps some. I've talked to my old doctor about it, but we didn't go very far on that. He couldn't prescribe it because it wasn't a medication that we could get where I'm at. So they have a compounding pharmacy, but they don't do that. So um,
Well, I just wanted to let you know that it's a game changer. It's for me, anyways. It's it's like I know that in a few hours I can take it, and I'm gonna have a couple of hours of relief, and that is worth living for. I mean,
yeah,
it's pretty pathetic, but it's still for me. It's the 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 it, the the infusions, they cost $280 a pop, and I've heard them other people saying that they paid $500, $800 for an infusion. And
it was going to be if I could have done it here where that clinic had opened up, it was $1,500 a treatment,
yeah, that's insane.
and I can't afford that.
Yeah.
You know, I look at what I can afford and what you know. That's my other thing. I don't have money to travel. You know, we scrape by month to month as it is, and you know we don't have a lot of luxuries, and you know we try to take the kids and do something with them every year during the summertime, and um, our main vehicle this year went went down on us, and um, we had to end up having to, that took away our vacation money, and you know I look at all these treatments and going, if the insurance would just cover it or even help cover it, it might not be so bad. But you know, like I said, I don't have the money to be able to do a lot of things.
Well,
Yeah,
what I was going to say though is that the troches, out of all of the ketamine uh, ways of ingesting it, it I think it was like $150 a month at the lower dose when I first started. And
yeah,
my pain doctor, I asked him if he would prescribe it. He said, I don't feel safe prescribing it. He said it's so addictive and all this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, how many people do you hear die of ketamine overdose versus opiates? Are you kidding me? You won't prescribe it? He says, I'm sorry, Troy. I'm not familiar with it. I won't do it. I said, well, dude, we got to make a deal because I need it. And so, are you okay with me finding somebody that will prescribe it? And he's like, sure. And in Utah, you type in ketamine, uh, and it's there's all these clinics that they're shrinks that do it for PTSD and for depression. And
yeah,
so that's what I ended up doing is I found the first place I found that was in an area that I knew of, that it was in my old neighborhood kind of. I called them up, and it was a young nurse practitioner, and she asked me what I wanted it for, and I need it for my pain. I don't have depression or PTSD.
Yeah.
And she slowly raised the dose, and then I
Yeah.
was on hospice a while ago, and they raised it way up high. And so, anyways, I just wanted you to know that if you're able to sell something, or I mean, because that's what I've been doing is for infusion or for ketamine, I will get rid of something, a TV or whatever, because I it is it's just I didn't know that I was depressed and that I had PTSD from the pain until after the first infusion. Right
Yeah.
after I came to the first infusion, I was like, "Oh, this is no big deal. I can handle this shit." And it just totally did a mind shift on me, and it still does. Um, Not quite to the extent that it did originally, because you build up tolerance to it just like any other drug.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to let you know that if you can find I mean, that place is 3 hours away, and the compounding pharmacy is 3 hours away, and they ship it to me.
Hmm.
But it if you need a break, or if your kids want to give you a Father's Day present or something, it really it really is a
I have a doctor's appointment towards the end of this month with my doctor. I may bring it up to being that somebody different than what I've had because my other doctor moved. I may bring it up to him and see what he thinks because he's pretty open minded. Um, but all my stuff has to go through the university because my wife works for the university and she has their health care. So that's the only other thing I have to deal with is her insurance is primarily taken to the for the university. We can go outside and get medicine somewhere else, but it costs us twice as much as what it would be from getting it from the university itself.
yeah.
So
All of the
that's
ketamine that I've gotten, I've paid for out of pocket, except for hospice. Paid for two infusions. I atrophied so much. I weighed 190 and I got down to 130. And I have CNAs. I'm very fortunate. I've got really good insurance because of the VA,
yeah,
and I have service connected disability. So I have CNAs, two different girls come 4 hours a day to help me take a bath and fix
yeah,
meals and stuff. But um, I forgot where I was going. I got brain fog. I got back
yeah.
on to I got back onto Lyrica, and so.
Yep.
But what I was gonna say, I've told a couple of other people that while I'm on the Lyrica, if you want to try the Calmar machine, the scrambler therapy machine, I can ship it to you and let you try it.
I think I'm gonna pass on that. I may try and see if I can find some place that does it around here a little more. Um, I mean, I'm fortunate. I don't have pain management right now. And my main doctor prescribes everything for me himself. And I hear so many people in the group say that they're not getting their stuff or they're getting cut back on what they need and what they're getting. And I just don't understand why so many doctors are doing that, cutting them off and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fortunate, I guess, that he's willing to do that without having, and I don't even have a pain contract. Um, and I know so many people do that have anything, any kind of opioids or anything. They all have a pain. They all have they all have pain contracts. They can't try CBD, or they can't do the medical marijuana and stuff. I've been
Yeah.
fortunate that my doctor has been open about it, open to just about anything. You know, so the stuff I got from Mood helped a lot. The only thing I don't like about it is that, and that's the CBD, is I don't like the high feeling. I get the relief, but then I have to take so much of it to even feel the relief that I get the high feeling, and I don't like that.
Oh, then you probably wouldn't like ketamine because it is, it's like LSD on steroids. I, I was fortunate though that, uh, when I was young, I tried, marijuana and it made me paranoid. I hated it. I thought I'm never
Yep.
gonna do this shit, you know? But then, my husband taught me that you have to be in the right environment, the right mood, and the right
Yeah.
scenery and stuff. And so when I did the, infusion, well, I think if you talk to most people that have had an infusion, it's an amazing thing. It's like you get connected to the universe,
Yeah.
and,
I
it's
mean, I didn't have any when I had it for surgery, and I had it. They gave me one time. They gave it to me in the ER, and I didn't have the high feeling. I didn't, but I felt the relief, and that's the only thing. You find something that works, and then I don't know that now there's nothing in my area that does. Nobody does ketamine in my area, and again, and I can't. I'm not comfortable enough in the car long enough to be able to go 3 hours. My grandkids, like I told you, they live in Kansas, and that's a long drive, and I can't hardly go down there anymore because I can't sit in the car that long.
yeah,
And
neither can I.
so, and
Well, I was, what the lady, she told me that I would only have to go in the first time, and then after that it was telehealth. But
yeah,
now that hospice took over the ketamine, and then I'm off hospice, and I'm back with my pain doctor. My pain doctor is prescribing it. So the ketamine is is a good thing. But the reason why I'm pushing these things, if it seems like I'm pushing these things, is there's only a few ways to get remission. A
yeah,
ketamine coma, which I don't get therapeutic range of ketamine, even when I do the infusions. Did you watch that documentary, Take Care of Maya or whatever it's
yeah,
called?
yeah, yeah. I did. I watched that.
I think she weighed like 78 pounds and she was getting like 1,500 milligrams,
Yep.
and she got remission. And, I asked my doctor, I said, why won't you go over 450 or whatever? And he's like, Troy, if you aspirate or whatever, this is just a medical clinic. I can't,
Yeah,
it's too risky. And so I I can't get remission through ketamine, but I can get the fire put out once a week, with
yeah.
a infusion.
Well, even most of the doctors that are big in the ketamine scene and they're willing to do ketamine or have the ketamine labs and stuff, I mean, they're all out east. They're in New York, they're all up and down the eastern seaboard. And, if you can't get out there, then, I mean, that seems to be the concentration of all the good doctors that, they're either in New York or they're in Florida or, you know, and the one in New York, I can't remember what his name is. He's big
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
and he's retiring and nobody's going to take over his practice. So all his patients are, now are scrambling to find people to take them. And I just lost a good friend of mine that had CRPS not too long ago. She passed away, and we did a Zoom meeting once a week, and um, it was nice to be able to meet people that have CRPS and know what you're going through and talk about. You could talk, and that's how I met Jim Broach, and I got to talk to him. Um, he was
Yeah.
big on LDN,
Uh, low dose
the low
naltrexone, you
dose.
mean?
Yeah,
I tried that and it didn't do anything for me. I only did a month or two. Have you tried it?
no, I haven't. That was the only thing he recommended to me. He said if everything else has failed, he goes, that would be the only other thing I would recommend. And my doctor doesn't want to put me on it. I talked to my doctor about it, and he said I don't want to go down that road. He said the opioids help you. He goes, if I take them away, he goes and give you this. He goes, you're out of luck. You can only take over the counter ibuprofen or Tylenol. He goes, and that ain't gonna do anything.
Well, my
So
doctor, I asked him, I said, if I take low dose naltrexone, do I have to take away all the opiates? He said, no, I'll just start you on a low dose. So maybe that's why it's not working. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I had one friend that out of that group that had tried low dose naltrexone, and then we and the group she ended up passing, and we never found out if it was working for. I never asked the person again whether it was helping them or not. I never got back in touch with them, and we all kind of lost touch, except for a couple of us. And
Did you pass away naturally or from suicide?
um, I'm I'm guessing it was naturally. I don't know for sure. The family never said anything more to us. Um, but uh, she was doing ketamine infusions and stuff, and she got to the with that doctor out in New York, the one I can't think of his name of, but they she wasn't getting any relief from the ketamine, so they were not going to do any more infusions with her. So because she coded on them once while she had other issues going on too, but she coded on them once, lost with she wasn't able to breathe and stuff, and they had to bring her back once from that. And but I think she had more going on than just the CRPS. She had other stuff. I mean, I'm not for sure, but
Hey, I think that I don't know that, the different stages or whatever, but
yeah,
if there's 4 stages or 3 stages, but I, I'm pretty sure that it, from just talking to all the people that I've interviewed and talked to, that it first attacks your bladder.
yeah.
Do you have trouble with uh, urgency or retention?
Sometimes I have it in my kidney. Um,
Oh,
I get the burning sensation in my kidney, and
I do too. That is
we've
horrible.
we've looked at everything, nothing, everything comes back normal. So that was our last conclusion that must be the CRPS affecting the kidney on the left side. So yeah, my lower back gets to hurting so bad in that down there where my kidney is that it's just gets to be unbearable sometimes.
Let me show you something that's interesting. Have you been in the group, our group, very long? The Faces of CRPS docu-series?
I think I've been in there for a little bit. I don't know. I don't get on
Anyway,
Facebook a whole lot. I pay attention to Messenger quite a bit more than I do the Facebook.
you pay attention to what?
The Messenger group more than I do the Facebook groups. I don't get
the
on
chat,
hardly.
the
Yeah, I
chat
get it.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, to learn from other people. Well, there's a gal in our group. After I started the group, she was like one of the first people. Her name is Catherine. She was a nurse for 40 years and she's just full of knowledge. She's just an amazing woman.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, I've been looking to find, I heard of shockwave therapy, which is a device that was developed by Tesla. It looks like a hair dryer.
Hmm.
And it warms and cools your body parts that are hot or cold. And but I kept reading that there was knockoffs, and if it wasn't the right frequency, that it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And I got a hold of Catherine, and she goes, I have been using this one for 4 months, and I thought it was bullshit, but it works great for you. You should try it, you know. So I went
Yeah.
ahead and bought one. This is what it is right here,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's kind of loud. So does noise bother you much?
Not a whole lot. Sometimes it does.
Well, I'll try to just do it for a second, but you'll see that there's a blue light.
Yeah.
And I, it's funny because
Oh yeah.
Catherine said one time, I'm a wand
You're
whore,
breaking
and
up.
she said I'm a wand whore, and I said so am I. I said because once you start using it, you can't stop using it. It just, you know, do your feet get cold?
Um, my left foot feels cold all the time, but my right foot does get cold quite a bit. Um, I can't go out without wearing a sock or something, to keep it warm. My right foot, but
Yeah. Well, this device, which is quite expensive, it's like $400, but it um, warms up your feet or whatever body part, and I use that daily, and sometimes I fall asleep using it because
yeah,
I've got it so bad. I mean, I probably have it no worse than you, but in my mind, it's horrific, you
yeah.
know. And I'll fall asleep using it. But anyways, I'll send you a link to it so you can investigate it. But
Okay,
regardless if it's this one or a different one, it's shockwave therapy. It's proven it re-energizes dead tissue, kind of, um, and a lot of other things. But I probably talked your ear off, and I appreciate you talking with me for so long.
that's all right.
If you
I said we weren't doing much.
if you have some pictures of your swollen limbs or body parts or whatever for the docu-series, it'll be good for your episode.
Okay,
And the other question I have for you is, I've encouraged everyone to do a GoFundMe at the end of so that at the end of their episode there'll be a GoFundMe for them so that people that are watching will donate because this disease is so expensive to live with. Did you want to do a GoFundMe or some kind of thing like that?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable doing that. So,
No.
no. And
Okay.
before I'd agree to anything like that anyway, I'd have to talk it over with my wife. And I don't think that we want to do that. But I can ask her and get back with you.
Okay.
But
Well, let me just tell you my personal opinion about it. Uh, I I've got 5 kids. One passed away from drowning, trying to save a mother and child 6 years ago. But I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would ask for charity because I was a medic, I was an EMT, I was a provider, I was always the fix it guy, I was always the
yeah,
person giving, 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 giving. And I got to the point where I ran out of money and I needed money for I built railings all throughout my house so that I can still try to walk. I got these upper pipes and lower pipes,
yeah,
and my house looks like a submarine. It's just insane. And anyways, I never thought that I would ask for money, and so I asked my sister to do a GoFundMe for me, and um, a lot of people. I think I got like $650 through just the GoFundMe program, but my aunts and uncles and different people said that they would rather just send me a check, and so I ended up getting around $1,000, and it it's like, you know, I don't know. I guess you don't know. You're not a vet, are you?
no. I wanted to join, but I had asthma, so they wouldn't take me.
Oh, well, every time you go to the VA, they have these little stickers and name tags and all these different things that say it takes a strong person to fight for their country, but even a stronger person to ask for help or something like that.
Yeah,
And, and I I don't feel like I feel like if there is such a thing as karma, that that it's okay because I've given so much to so many people throughout my life, and
yeah,
if some good comes back to me and I need it, um, like I I wouldn't be able to go to my appointments at all without this. I have a fold up electric wheelchair,
yeah,
and I had it cost $3,500, and I only had $2,500 worth of credit. And my daughter-in-law said, try for this guy just helps veterans, just he'll just write you a check. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't, because I just don't feel comfortable asking for money.
yeah,
But I went ahead and wrote him a letter, and 3 weeks later there was a check for $1,000, and I was able to get it. And now it's my after I a friend of mine's gonna build some telescopic ramps because all I have is a little tiny hatchback car.
yeah,
And so, um, anyways, what I'm getting at is don't pride cometh before the fall, and that don't be ashamed to ask for help, man, because we're living with, I mean, they
Oh, I
call us
know.
warriors. They call us warriors and stuff. I think we're more than warriors. I think we're super fucking humans because to live with as much pain as we do day after day and still survive and provide and give to society, and you cooking for your family is amazing. So you deserve some comeback,
Yeah. And I always thought that the time I got this, before I got this, the second go around, I I was working constantly. I working 80, 90 hours a week, trying to bring home enough money for my family and stuff, and in my eyes, the way it came about, it come about the right time. The company shutting down that I was working for, and I thought maybe it was just God's way of telling me, hey, you need to slow down and smell the roses, and you know you've worked so hard for this long and all that. And I don't know. It's been a weird roller coaster, but I was worked a lot and I missed a lot, and now I don't miss
It's not,
quite as much, but I still
it's
miss.
it's
I miss a lot of things. I don't.
it's really not though a rest when you're living with so much pain.
Know, but I mean, at the time when I wasn't, before I actually knew what I had and what was going on, and that was kind of my way of thinking, that this is just going to go away with everything else, and it never did, and it only got worse, and you know, it's never been easy, but
Well, do me a favor and consider the GoFundMe thing and talk it over with your wife because
okay,
I I I I truly believe that we people with CRPS have such a rough life and it's so difficult for us to make money and we want to make money. Like I right before my hands went bad, I had my office all set up to digitize film. I
yeah,
I I got a machine to do 8 millimeter, to do VHS, everything, and then my hands turned red, and I
oof,
was like, "Holy fucking shit!"
yep,
I was like so pissed off because I hate I hate getting money without earning it.
yeah,
But
yep.
well, thank you, James,
That's the way
and
I've been.
if you if you have some time to email me some, or you can just send them through Messenger, I guess, some pictures of if you feel
Okay,
comfortable with, your
yeah, I can do
swollen
that.
limb, because for the most part, this disease is invisible. That's the problem with it.
Yeah,
People look at you and they think, what the hell's wrong with it? Why doesn't the guy work?
yeah,
And like my leg before it started changing colors, it was just pale and it looked totally normal. So the doctors thought I was insane. And I was like, no, it's
yeah,
fucking on fire.
yep. I
So,
I've talked to a lot of people in the grocery store aisle or Walmart, because I can't wear a sock and stuff, and they come up and they ask, especially the little kids. You know, I get that to me sometimes makes my day, is being able to interact with a kid, and you know and parent always apologetic about them asking, but like I tell them, I'd rather them ask than for you to just come up with something, and you know that way they know for real what's going on, and sometimes I
yeah,
get to educate the parents too, and that
yeah,
that gets it out too. So,
yeah.
but
Well, another thing about the GoFundMe thing is you when you get to the point to where we are, you you you're vulnerable and you're willing to share your story, and with what you're telling and what people will hear, it will help other people. And anyways, I just think you deserve some money to help you out, especially with you raising a big family like that. I think it would
Yeah.
really do you some good. But I'll stop preaching to you.
All right. I will talk to her about it and I'll let you know. And I'll send you some pictures through Messenger.
Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you, James. You take
Yep.
care.
It's nice to meet you too. You take care also.
Okay. Bye bye, James.
Bye.
You may not have pain now, but imagine being in an accident or needing an operation and being denied adequate pain medication. Please make your voice heard. If you have CRPS, find a forum with people who truly understand. If you are considering self-harm, please call 988. What is one more conversation? Faces of CRPS, all rights reserved, 2024. A huge thank you to everyone who participated in the making of this docu-series. You and your stories matter. Envisioned and directed by Troy Thane. For more information, contact Troy at thane.com. Narration by Catherine Clement.